Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of the Roads to the Driveway Mechanic series, a series where I go from a complete beginner to hopefully being able to maintain my family car, which is a Kia Sportage. This week has been an absolute pig of a week, if I'm being completely honest. Firstly, I lost contact lens, hence I'm wearing the welders. My daughter's been very ill, which hasn't been fun. Lots of work challenges, lots of just life stuff in general. I also noticed a bit of a ticking of the engine this week. It was happening, seems to be happening quite a lot when in like low gears and when the car had relatively low fuel. I think I know what the issue is. It's a GDI engine, which means that the fuel is pumped into the pistons constantly for the drive to work, and when there's low fuel, I think it sounds more noticeable than not. And looking at a lot of the Kia forums, it looks like that's a known issue. But anyway, we're going to try and tackle that in the later episode. I think I've got something that's going to help make that better. But that's something we're not going to do today. We're probably going to do next week or the week after. We're going to do it soon. But in this episode, we're going to tackle the lights in the interior. So fit some LED bulbs in the interior. We're going to try and tackle that water fluid issue that's been going on. Hopefully I've got a fix for that, which would be cool. And then we're going to try and, if we've got time, potentially tackle the dent in the front wing there and see if we can get to that. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive into it. Okay, job one is internal LED lights. It's something that I've been wanting to do for ages because, quite frankly, whilst I love the Kia Sportage, I think it's a really good car for the value of money that you get for it. The stuff that lets it down is like those premium sort of features, like the really nice internal lighting. So picked up a cheap box on eBay of LED lights, and we're going to go through and just get all those fitted, and hopefully that gives it a nicer sort of feel. Okay, rear dome light is in. That was a bit trickier than I thought it was going to be. I have to basically like pull the plastic sheet off from the front backwards. So I've watched a load of YouTube videos this week just to make sure I'm doing it right and I'm not going to break anything. There's two clips here at the front, so you have to get the thing underneath it. One potential issue or drawback is that the original bulb is sort of cylinder-y in shape like that, and the new LED bulbs have got like a square, square with two little metal ends on the end of it, so it doesn't perfectly fit. It fits enough to light up, but you can only point it one way or the other, which is potentially because it's cheap Chinese product that I ordered off of eBay. But it's a potential bit of an issue because whilst it lights up fine and will work, there you go, it's working. It only lights this side and not that side. So I pointed it that way because that's the way that that's the seat that our daughter sits in. So we're going to need the light in the back. It's going to be so that we can see her. So so I've changed that for now. And then we're going to get on to the next one, which I think we're going to do. There's one of the vanity mirror ones here. We're just going to have a look and see if we can pull those out and get that done. One top tip is, some people recommend, will say like you can get away with using a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, but invest in a decent trim removal tool. Actually, like a decent trim removal pack is going to be useful anyway, just to get into all of these nooks and crannies properly, because it's flat and you're less likely to break stuff doing it that way. So that's top tips. I'm going to get on with the next one, see if I can figure out how to get these ones out before tackling the big one, which is the map light. Right, I just had a quick look on YouTube, Google, TikTok, those types of places, just to have a look and see about this front map light. Try and figure out how you get in there properly to change it. And yeah, you're gonna have to take some of this trim off. So there is an area in here which is for sunglasses, and there's two screws in there. You have to take them out and then take this off, which is, if I'm honest, quite scary. That's probably the biggest thing I've ever done to a car, as silly as that sounds. Removing trim panels completely to change a bulb. It seems a bit silly. It's a bit of a silly design from Kia. Really, the rest of them have all just been like, a little bit of trim, pop it out, change the bulb. job done. It's not that difficult, but this one's a bit scary. But we're not going to back down. The point of this channel is to learn and grow. So let's dive into it and get it done. Right, 2 screws out. That was harder than I thought it was going to be. It's a really awkward area, and to be honest with you, I think someone's probably had this out before, because the screws were quite loose, and they didn't feel like they were in perfectly straight, like if it was from a factory or something. It's probably something that a human did anyway rather than a machine, to be honest. But yeah, the screws are out, so now it should just be a case of getting this trim off, pull it out with a trim removal tool, and then we can access, hopefully, the bulbs. Right, let's give it a go. Right, job done on that. That was a pain. That was harder and scarier than anything I've done so far on a car, which sounds really stupid, really, because it's a couple of screws and just removing a bit of trim. But it's because it involves like electrics and trim pieces, and you know, something that's quite important. You don't want to bodge it up and make a mistake. So I'm pleased I've done that. I feel a bit more confident now removing trim pieces and stuff. I've changed all of the lights in here. I've done the trunk one as well. I did forget to record that one. There's a spare light as well, and there's also lights for the license plate on the back. However, the reason I'm not changing those is because I was looking at, for a future episode of the channel, doing the headlights and the rear lights and changing them to a LED conversion kit so that you get LED day running lights and everything else. And I went down a bit of a rabbit hole looking at it, forums and things, and apparently it's illegal if you don't have the right headlight covers and rear light covers. Something to do with it being too bright or something like that. It can be an MOT failure. This one's only recently had its MOT, so I'm not worried about that necessarily, but I don't want to get pulled over. I don't want to get points for my license if the police decide to be a bit harsh with me or whatever. So yeah, that might be a whole headlight replacement job or something at some point, which again doesn't look too bad. It looks like a couple of screws, remove the unit, pull the plug, whatever. It doesn't look too complicated. I think I could probably give that a go. But for now, we're going to stick to relatively simple things. But the next job is going to be looking at that washer issue. Now, somebody in the comments on the last episode, on the first episode of this challenge, jumped in and gave me some amazing tips on checking the washer fluid. So I'll explain that properly. But first things first is I've got to take the car out for a spin. I've got to go and pick up something for the wife. Once that's done, I will come back. We'll change the washer fluid properly. We'll get some washer fluid at Sainsbury's. We'll test all that, see if we can fix that issue, and then we'll talk about what's next on the channel. So I will see you in a moment.
A few moments later.
Okay, back from Sainsbury's. The next job is to check the washer fluid. So I've just topped up the washer fluid at Sainsbury's garage. So it's all full up. So we've got plenty in there. We're going to test the line and see whether or not there's a blockage in there. I got a tip from the last video, from a commenter on the last video, about testing that to make sure it's the line has blockage in it rather than the pump. So we're going to do that next, see how we get on, and hopefully we haven't got to do anything major like replace a pump or something like that, because that would be a pain, and obviously we then need to order parts and stuff. So before we do anything, let's see if we can diagnose the issue properly and jump to that.
Show me that don't need no money, don't need nobody, just need your body. Show me that so sweet like honey, don't need no talking, just need your body. Your loving on me makes me feel special. No heaven on earth if I can't be with you. Swim in your eyes so I can tell the truth. I got so high, all I
unfortunately, I think that's going to be it for today's episode. I have taken a proper look on some of the forums, looked at some of the images for where pubs are and leads and things like that, and it's more of a difficult job than I wanted it to be. Basically, I was hoping that I could just pull that lead, the pipe that I could see, I could unblock something, I could clear the nozzles out, and it would be working, and it'd be great, and that would be a nice quick win. Unfortunately, I think from what I'm reading online, it's either a pump issue, which means taking the wheel off, taking the wheel liner out, finding the pump which is underneath there, taking it out, either cleaning it or replacing it. They're at 15 quid from eBay to get a new one, a second-hand new one. So it's either that job, or it's a case of taking the trim out from underneath the bonnet, finding the cable, completely unblocking it, or whatever else. There is one trick I'm going to try with some compressed air, by blowing some compressed air through the unit with that cable off, and just seeing whether or not that unblocks something, and that might mean then that it improves the flow, whatever. But I've bought the compressed air, but it's going to come in a couple of days, so we can't do that now, obviously. So that's going to be it for this episode. Next episode, we are going to try and tackle that dent in the offside rear panel down there that happens. I've had a couple of quotes back from body shops in the Exeter area where I live. They think it's about £1,000 job to do, because they're saying that to fix it, you can't pull it out because it's aluminium. You have to pull the whole, take the whole thing off, then you have to replace it with a new one, and then you need to paint it and blend the paint back into the door panel so that it looks consistent and looks good. That will make sense, but £1,000 is a heck of a lot of money. So I'm going to try and do it myself. I'm going to try and see whether or not I can take the wheel liner off, get in behind and pull it out, or do some other trick. Do a bit of Googling, see what happens there. So that is it for today's episode. If you made it this far, thank you very much for tuning in. Please like, comment and subscribe. Anything else you'd like me to see, me to do in the next episode, please comment, let me know. Any tips for anything you think that I've done today that I've done in a silly way or whatever, please drop a comment. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see everybody on the next one.